Hello, everybody. Welcome back to. Well, not welcome back, I should say. I should say welcome to what I will attempt to be a regular occurrence here on the channel. So, today we are going to be let's say discussing the first episode of Kamen Rider ReVice. And if you just want my quick and just right off the just like early thoughts on it, I love it. It's one of probably, if not my favorite first episode to any Rider show. So let's just jump into it. Yeah, let's do that. So we open on I think it's like, well, they say it's excavated ruins in South Africa. No, not Africa, South America, I'm sorry. 50 years before the start of the show, so around, I think it was 1971, because this is the 50th season of Kamen Rider. It is the 50th anniversary. So, of course, they would want it to be 50 years ago on what would have been the release of Kamen Rider Ichigo around that period, 1971. So these archaeologists go and they excavate this stamp. I want to say it's probably like the first Vice stamp. And the person who finds it uses it and like stamps himself with it. I don't actually know if he did that on his own volition or if he was being mind controlled to do it. That's not really made very clear. They'll probably go back and expand upon that later on in the series. But yeah, so that's where we open, and then two people are discussing it. One of them, I don't know their name, but the other one I know is George, who is going to be our kind of like tech guy of the season, if you want to call him that. So they're discussing it. They are talking about how these stamps, these Vice stamps, allow you to form contract with the demon that lives inside of you, or just demons in general. And then, so the other guy who's talking to George asks if the ReVice system is ready, because they have just been raided by a group of demons calling themselves Dead Man, or they're probably a cult. It's like a cult of like these demon worshippers that are just there. We don't have a lot of information on them yet. Once again, it's only the first episode, so they can't really just throw too much information at us. So they'll be giving us more information, I hope, down the line, and not just like, oh, they're here. So George says yes, they do have the ReVice system is ready, and they do have a candidate, Daiji Igarashi. His name is Igarashi Daiji. Yes. So we then cut to it's Dead Man's hideout next, I believe. I don't exactly remember the order of it. I'm pretty sure we go cut to Dead Man's hideout first. And it's pretty sick, not gonna lie. It's really, really cool. It's like this rave party club, and like there's like a bunch of just regular civilian people there, and there's like this big old weird demon stone blob thing on like the center stage. So we are also met by our three main villain generals for this series. Two guys and a girl. Don't remember the two guys. Their names aren't explicitly stated in this episode, and I don't remember their names from the leaks. I think one of them's named Julio or something like that, and I don't remember the other one's name. But the third one is Aguilera. That's the girl, and she is apparently the fiance of what I can only assume will be the final villain of this season. Um, uh, Ghoul, something like that. It like starts with a G or something. And essentially, their goal is to revive him using the power of the Vice stamps, unleashing the devils within people. And interestingly enough, in this scene, we see Aguilera go around and stamping people with like this generic Vice stamp that is used to summon like the minions of this season. So yeah, she's just going around just stamping random people. They don't turn into like monster of the week dead men. They just kind of are fine. Yeah, not really explained. This isn't something that needs to be explained. It's just like a little thing. I was like, huh, okay, that's a bit weird. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is we then cut to the Igarashi bathhouse, and we are met with our main character, not Igarashi Daiji, but the eldest son of the household, Igarashi Iki. And our first impressions of him are, or at least my first impressions of him was like, this guy seems pretty cool. He's like pretty nimble, athletic. Like the first thing that we see of him is he's like kicking one of those like water buckets that you have in bathhouses to like wash your head off and all that stuff. Like kicking it into like the top of like a very tall pile fairly perfectly. And he's like going around helping out the bathhouse, people in the bathhouse, cleaning, giving people like those little milk things that you would get after like going to a bathhouse. And as he does this, as he's giving someone one of these like sugary milks, he is not met. He hears the voice, like he calls it his inner voice. We'll then later learn that this is in fact Vice, our second lead of the season, his inner demon. And no one else can hear it, obviously, because it's in his head. So he basically makes a fool of himself, like, because no one can hear him, no one knows what he's talking about. And then on the TV, we see that, which is fairly uncommon in my experience with Kamen Rider, that the main villains, the Dead Man group, is already publicly known. They're like already attacking places. They're essentially just like a regular terrorist group that is already known to the world. And like the group fighting them, Phoenix, is also already known. They are a public group that has like active, I guess, like soldiers that are already doing things around the place, around the city, helping people fighting dead men. And yeah, so we see on the TV that a large sigil of like the bottom of one of the Vice stamps has appeared over the sky, which the newscaster says only really happens when Dead Man is about to attack. So they're basically saying like, oh, a warning, be careful, we don't know when Dead Man's gonna attack again. And then we meet the rest of the Igarashi family, the mom, who seems to be like the head of the family, I guess is the best way to put it. She's like the matriarch of the family. She's the one that runs the bathhouse. We're met with the father, who is, the easiest way to explain it is he's just a YouTuber. He likes to make videos. He's like a real goofball. Then we're met with the brother and the younger brother and the younger sister of the household. I don't think we were given the name of the sister, but the younger brother we obviously know is Daiji. He is meant to be Kamen Rider ReVice. He's apparently getting promoted to captain in Phoenix, like the rank of captain in Phoenix, and there's going to be like this huge award ceremony the next day, and all the family's gonna watch. They're gonna bring all the regulars of the bathhouse and like cheer them on. And it is at this point that Iki starts being able to see Vice and is making an even bigger fool of himself because he thinks a Vice is going to be like trying to like attack his family or something, but no one can see him. So, like I said, he just makes a fool of himself at the dinner table, and he excuses himself to like go calm his head out in like the main lobby area of their bathhouse. So then he has a talk with his younger brother Daiji. Daiji not confronts him, but like basically asks him, "Hey, man, you seemed really out of it. Like, are you okay?" And then they start talking about, "Iki, why are you still working at the bathhouse? You always wanted to go pro in soccer, and you could have easily done it." And we see that he does have skill. We see like all of his awards. He has a bunch of pictures. Like our first impression of him is him doing that like kick maneuver with the water bucket. And Iki is just like, "Don't worry about it, man. I'm happy where I am right now in life. We all good." And we cut to the next day. It's the award ceremony, the commencement. I think it's called a commencement. Let me know if I'm wrong or not. So then we like see all of these like Phoenix soldiers. They're like it's kind of just like a military graduation if you've been to one of those. We see one guy on the stage along with George, and they're basically giving this speech, and then they reveal the ReVice driver and how it works. So if I'm remembering correctly, George created the ReVice driver, but it was George's father that developed the Vice stamps that are able to be used by whoever is going to be using the ReVice driver, like taking old, like these excavated Vice stamps and then repurposing them into usable gimmick toys, essentially. In the middle of the commencement speech, they are attacked by Deadman, who are they just show up, cause some chaos, and then grab one of the cameras to just say, "Hey, yeah, we're here," even though people already knew they're there. It's weird. I personally didn't really like it. I don't know why this attack even happened. I mean, it would make sense if maybe, I don't know, they were attacking so they could get the Rex Vice stamp, which is what is being shown at this commencement or this graduation or something like that. But anyways, they send some of the monsters. They like send a bunch of these dead man monsters. They summon a bunch of mooks. Not mooks, like, well, you know what a mook is. You know what a mook is. They're minions. They send like a bunch of the minions out into the crowd to cause a bunch of chaos. And then this one absolute idiot. Oh, I forgot to mention, Dead Man. It's because I'm like, I have the episode going on in the background right now as I'm talking about this, just so that way I don't miss anything, like I almost did. So Dead Man, like the three general group, kidnap this insane prisoner guy, and then they use the Mammoth Vice stamp to summon one of the monsters of the week for this episode. And an interesting thing to note, as I'm looking at it again, is that the Vice stamp is not consumed. It is unlike most of the gimmicks in a Kamen Rider show or just in a tokusatsu in general. It's not consumed. They use it, the contract comes out of the person, and that is what creates the new Dead Man. So in my mind, what that means is that the Vice stamps, you could theoretically use them to just continuously make new versions of these monsters of the week. So they use the Vice stamp, get one of the monsters, and then that monster is there as they attack the ceremony. So then the other guy on the stage tries to help. He like breaks the glass on the ReVice driver's case and tries to use it. George tries to warn him. He's like, hey, idiot, don't use that. You're just gonna make it worse. You can't control your devil or demon. So then what happens next is he tries to use it like George thought. It's like he made it worse. He summoned a second monster. And now there's two there. George tries to give the ReVice driver to Daiji, tells Daiji, this is meant for you. You gotta use it. Use it to save your family. Save all the people here. And then George cracks under the pressure. He can't handle it. He just saw what happened when the random guy on the stage tried to use it. And then he basically collapses to his knees, drops the ReVice driver into Rex Vice stamp. He's about to get attacked by, I think it's the Rex monster. And then this is when Iki goes in to save him, like just tackles him out of the way, the monster's attack. And then we see that the mom's getting attacked by the mammoth monster, and the sister, who, if I may say, is being an absolute badass. She is fighting these minions, she just like immediately jumped into action. It's like, monsters, okay, got it. We fighting these things? Okay, gotcha. It was stated back at the dinner scene that she is doing martial arts, she's in karate. So that's something. She might be like this season's Rider Girl. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been keeping too much up with leaks of the show. So for all I know, she is this season's Rider Girl. So in all the chaos as the mom's getting attacked, Iki is then Vice then contacts Iki again. He's like, hey man, we can make a deal here. You want to make a deal with your devil, basically? All you gotta do is take that Vice stamp you got in your hand right there, stamp it on yourself. That gives me a body. I could use that body to help save your family. All you gotta do is just release me, just sell your soul to me, just make a deal with the demon. Iki, wanting to save his family, proceeds to do so and releases Vice into the physical world, giving him a physical body. Vice absolutely mollywomps the two dead mans of this episode, and once he does that, he then proceeds to try to attack the mother. So as that's happening, George is like, hey, you, take that driver right there. If you put it on, you can control that devil over there. So Iki goes over, takes the ReVice driver, puts it on, and then Vice gets sucked back into Iki. And then Iki uses the driver to transform into Kamen Rider ReVice. Well, not actually ReVice. He transforms into Kamen Rider ReVice, also allowing Vice to transform into Kamen Rider Vice. And together they make the titular Kamen Rider ReVice. So it's two riders for one namesake. And use these powers to save everyone there in an absolutely fantastic fight scene. And it's not like, oh, Iki is just the one doing it and Vice is like kind of like a support. No, they're like each like putting in equal work to fight these things. And since there's two big monsters in this episode, the Rex Deadman and the Mammoth Deadman, they're each able to take one of them on. We also learned a couple more things. We learned that you can actually take a Vice stamp while you're in rider form, stamp it against your chest, and then gives you a slight power boost, I guess. In case of the Rex Vice stamp, it like gives him like these big CG T-Rex legs. I personally don't like it, but it's Kamen Rider. You're gonna have a bit of CG. It's fine. It's not like Saber levels of CG, but it's there. It's meh. We also get given the base form weapon, which is the Oro Slasher. I think it's like Stamp Slasher or something. Stamp Axe Oro Slasher, I think it's called. So then they use it, they perform a bunch of finishers, save the day, and then Iki undoes the transformation, and then gives the driver and the stamp back to George, basically saying, hey man, I don't want no part in this. I just want to run the bathhouse with my family. So then we cut to the final scene of the episode where it's the entire family basically watching over the mother, who is in the hospital after being attacked. The mother wakes up and then just cracks a joke, is like, why are you all here? Y'all just trying to get out of work. It's basically showing like, okay, don't worry, I'm fine. You guys don't need to be here. Go back to work. I'm good now. So yeah, that was the first. That's like the summary, the first episode. And there's a couple of points I want to talk about. One, I am like 90% sure that Daiji is going to have some sort of arc where he ends up becoming a writer at some point. That is like something I'm almost certain of that will happen at some point. Another thing that I think will happen is that the first Vice stamp that we see, the one that was uncovered in South America, is going to be one of three things. It's either going to be the super form Vice stamp, the final form Vice stamp, or a villain writer Vice stamp. That's what I predict that's gonna be. And then just a couple things that I hope to see in this season or this series of Kamen Rider is I would love to see the sister become a writer. We got like a neat little like family thing. It's like Iki becomes a writer, Daiji becomes a writer, and the sister becomes a writer. I'd also really like to see, well, I wonder if George is going to become a writer at some point. But yeah, that's about it. That's everything. Kamen Rider ReVice Episode 1. I'm very excited for the rest of the series of this series of Kamen Rider. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm probably going to buy the toys for this season. Thank you all so very much for watching. Once again, sorry that you're stuck with the stationary version of me. Like I said, my PC cannot handle the moving version, so until I get the parts that I need so that I can have the moving version active, you're stuck with the stationary version. I'll see you on the next video, whenever that may be. Thank you all for watching. See you guys next time.